Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we are here to talk about the brand new CoverFX Power Play Concealer. So if that's something you guys are interested in watching, you are in the right place. We are about to get into it.
I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf.
Alright guys, so everybody remembers the CoverFX Power Play Foundation when it came out and launched because everybody fell in love with it. It was a really beautiful foundation. This is the foundation itself. We did a review on it on this channel and I love this foundation. It comes in a plethora of shades. CoverFX is amazing even when it comes to their ingredients. They're always cruelty-free and vegan, and makeup artists tend to really favor CoverFX formulations because they really are formulated with a makeup artist in mind, especially when it comes to their shade range. The components that they have are very makeup kit friendly. They just are a very makeup artist friendly brand. So when they came out with the Power Play CoverFX Concealer, it looks a lot like the foundation bottle itself does. However, there are a few really unique differences when it comes to this particular component. So let me show you guys a picture of this component up close so you can see what I'm talking about. Now on the outside, again, it looks just like the Power Play foundation. It has that same kind of clear mimicking glass type plastic, and then it has the silver top. However, when you look at the applicator on this particular concealer, you're going to notice something very different, and it is a bald tip applicator. So it does have a very rounded ball tip on the end. There is a very particular reason for that. They did that on purpose. That's the way they designed this particular applicator, and again, there is a reason why. Now, I will say that this particular concealer also comes in 30 shades, you guys. So the shade range for this is phenomenal when it comes to a concealer. Now, there are several reasons why, number one, the applicator is tipped the way that it is and why there are so many shades. They're saying that this particular concealer can be used in a plethora of ways, but one of the ways they encourage you to use it is kind of that dotting method. Now on Instagram, the dot method became very popular. People were putting dots all over their face. So they would put their foundation in dots, and then their color corrector in dots, and then their concealer in dots, their bronzer or contour in dots, and then they would take a sponge and just blend it all in. And yeah, I definitely don't miss the dot phase on Instagram. However, that's kind of the philosophy behind the applicator on this particular component. So what they want you to do is they do want you, when it comes to putting the concealer on blemishes or highlighting or contouring with this concealer, which they encourage, they've put that rounded tip on the end so that you can just put dots on the face and then take a sponge or a brush and just blend it out. They actually also encourage you to just do dots underneath the eye and then blend it out as well. And if you're going to be putting dots on the face, then it makes sense that you have a rounded tip. Now I'm going to show you some footage here of them just giving you an example of what they mean, and basically it's like if you contour or if you want to brighten any areas of the face, that you just kind of, you know, plunk those little dots right on there and then you just blend it out. So that's kind of the philosophy behind the rounded tip. and the 30 shades, because in this 30 shade range, ideally you should be able to not only find a concealer, but then you should be able to find your perfect skin match so that you can use it to cover blemishes on the face. They also have a pure white. One of the shades in this is literally pure white, and that can be used on very, very fair skin to brighten certain areas of the face, or you can just get a very light color out of these 30 color choices to choose from and use that as like a highlighting technique. So you should be able to get a contour color out of this as well, because the rich, deep, dark colors are abundant in this shade range. So not only should you be able to highlight and contour and get a skin tone one as well that is the, you know, same as your skin tone so that you can cover blemishes, but then also get a shade that's like 1 or 2 tones lighter just to conceal the under eye area. So this is supposed to be one of those multi-use concealers, and they've really marketed it that way. Now, even when the Born This Way concealer came out, it was marketed as a multi-use concealer, but most of the reviews and even the marketing that you saw from the new Born This Way concealer was that it was for under eye. You did see a couple of people using it to contour with, but it wasn't the big push behind it. They didn't build it into the component. With this product, they actually built this concept into the component itself by putting that rounded tip on there. They're really encouraging people to purchase more than one component. Now, my problem with that is the price point. The price point is $30 for one component. So in order to buy your contour, your brightening shade, the same shade as your skin to cover blemishes, and a concealer shade, then, you know, ideally you're spending $120 on those particular products. So I would get that marketing push if maybe they put it to like a $15, $20 concealer. Then I could see going and picking up 3 or 4 so they could use it, you know, multi-purpose. But to market it as this big multi-purpose, in other words, you're going to want to grab 3 or 4, then $30 is a little high to get multiple components from the collection. Now, they do have another component that's called their Clique Stix. Now, these were marketed very similarly, that you could get your highlight, your contour, and your concealer, and your color corrector, all from a Clique Stick. And this is actually one of my favorite color corrector formulas. The peach that they have in the Clique Stix shade range, it's very brightening and it's amazing when it comes to lightening dark circles underneath the eyes. This is a stunning formula. However, the Clique Stix are $18, so that one seems a little more attainable, that you can grab several of them and use them for that purpose on the face. That would make a little more sense. So I guess $18 up against $30 for me is almost twice the amount that you would have to pay to get multiples of these. So that's the one area where I'm a little conflicted. Now, I will say this, you do get 10 mils of product in this concealer. And just for reference purposes, regular concealer component averages about 6 mils of product. So you have 6 mils in this regular kind of concealer component. This is the NARS Creamy Radiant. Now, the Tarte Shape Tape is actually a 10 mil component. So you're actually getting the same amount that you would out of a Tarte Shape Tape concealer when you purchase the CoverFX Power Play Concealer. So you're actually getting a significant amount of product for $30. With the $30 price point, though, I just don't see myself buying 4 of them. You know what I'm saying? But in all of their marketing, in all of their instructions on the websites, it says to dot the product on the face. So if you're using it for concealer, it says to dot the product underneath. If you're using it to contour, it says to dot it along your jawline, to dot it on the side of your face. If you're using it to cover blemishes, it says just to dot the blemishes and then to blend it out with a sponge or a brush. So the rounded sponge is so that you can dot the product. Now let's get into application of this dotting machine, and I will show you guys the application process here. Now, one thing that you're going to notice as I'm going through this application process is that the first time that I use this on the right side of my face, I actually just drug it across my under eye like a regular concealer because I wanted to see if it really made a difference in performance. So I just drug it underneath the eye, and then instead of using a blending sponge, which they tend to recommend more often on their website, I grabbed a brush and just tried to stipple it in with a brush, and it went on fine. It looked really pretty, and I actually really liked the result. Now, one thing that I was a little shocked by was when I actually tried the dotting process on the left side of my face, and I just put the dots underneath my eye, and then I actually got a damp sponge and started to blend out the left side of my face. And you guys, I was actually very surprised that it did make a difference. Now, as I have played with this concealer over the course of the last couple of days, I have noticed consistently that if I apply this concealer in like a dragging motion, typically I will get too much product on, and this product is very heavy in pigment, so less is more, and I just get too much product. When I dot it on, as they recommend that you do with this particular product, and then I actually use a beauty blender, I get the best finish. Now, blending it out with a brush gives a beautiful finish as well, but it is not as beautiful of a finish as it is with a damp sponge. And quite frankly, if you put dots on your face. I think that the reason it works so well with the dotting method underneath the eye is because it's about controlling the amount of product that you put underneath the eye. For some reason with that applicator, when you just do the dots, it tends to deposit the perfect amount underneath the eye, especially if you focus on just dotting areas of discoloration and then going in with your blending sponge and blending it out. It really does make a difference. So I found that I was actually, when I was reaching for this, I was using the dotting method with a beauty blender because it worked phenomenally. Now, when it comes to this particular concealer, they're claiming that this is going to be a naturally radiant concealer, that it's going to be crease proof, transfer proof, it's a natural radiant finish, that it's full coverage, and I did find that all of those things were the case. Now, there is a difference. I thought that this was really going to be CoverFX version of a matte concealer, because the concealer that CoverFX has is their cream concealer, and this is a really good concealer for people that have very dry under eyes and you need some hydration underneath there. I would definitely reach for this if you struggle with like severe dry under eyes. This is a really good concealer and one of my favorites because I do struggle with very dry under eyes. So I was a little concerned going into this particular concealer because I thought this was going to be drying. I thought this was going to be kind of a matte finish and it was going to dry out the under eyes. But honestly, you guys, that is not the case. This is very comfortable. It doesn't dry out the under eye area throughout the course of the day. Now, I have a lot of texture underneath my eyes, so I have a lot of fine lines and wrinkles, which means that I do have to dust my under eye area with some setting powder so that I don't get creasing out of any concealer. It doesn't matter if they say it's crease proof or not. If you have a big honking wrinkle right underneath your under eye area, product is going to settle there no matter what anybody tells you. However, I will say that I can still tell the difference between a concealer that is a very creasy concealer and one that's not. And if you don't have a lot of texture underneath your eyes, you should be able to put this product on and not necessarily even have to set your under eye area, because it sets down very nicely and it doesn't sink into like my crow's feet or smaller fine lines and wrinkles that I have. So I was very impressed with the formula. I'm absolutely going to Erika approve it. It looks beautiful on. It lasts all day. As a matter of fact, on the days where I tested this particular product, my foundation would wear away. But you know how it is sometimes if you have a concealer that's really good, your foundation will kind of wear away, but all of the areas that you have on your face where you've applied the concealer are still hanging strong, and that was the case with this particular concealer. I could still see my concealer at the end of a 12 or 14 hour day where my foundation had faded. So it's a very long lasting concealer as well. Now from an ingredients perspective, it doesn't have anything in it that's going to throw up a red flag for like creasing or drying out the under eye area or breaking apart and looking really nasty. So no mineral oil, no parabens, it's free of talc. It doesn't have any of those kind of danger zone ingredients in the concealer itself. It's a beautiful ingredient list, and it's funny because the way that they actually market it is that it's going to really be like next level protection against pollution, and that's really the way that they seem to be marketing this particular concealer. But I will say it does have some really nice ingredients in there, including niacinamide, you guys, which is actually an ingredient that you typically find in skincare when you want to brighten areas of the face. And if you have darker circles, to find a concealer that actually includes niacinamide in it so that it actually can treat your dark circles while you're wearing it, that's a beautiful thing. In addition to niacinamide, it has glycerin in it, which is a natural humectant, so you're going to have that kind of pulling moisture out of the air to keep your under eye area hydrated throughout the course of the day, which I guess is why I didn't feel as though it was overly drying, and I didn't feel like my under eyes dried out. It also has silica in it, so it is going to have that smoothing effect when it comes to fine lines and wrinkles and texture underneath the eye. It's going to help to minimize that. Overall, you guys, it's a beautiful ingredient list. It's a beautiful formula, and it's absolutely Erika approved. Alright guys, so that is it. Short and sweet. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys plan on picking this one up. I think it's a good one, you guys. Listen, thank you so much for stopping by. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you for coming by and hanging out with us today. If you'd like to be part of the approved crew, then make sure that you hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell on your way out. If you liked the video, feel free to give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram at ErikaApproved. I hope everybody is very happy, and I hope you guys are very healthy, and I will see you guys in the next video. Mwah.